Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Florida's #1 hockey podcast, the Cats and Bolts. 3, 2, 1.
Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome. He's got Peter Worrell laughing already. Welcome to the Cats and Bolts podcast, everybody. That's producer Ben Castro. That intro scared Jeff Chikrin so much he almost ran out a couple of weeks ago, from what I understand. We got the big man here. We asked, who do you want to see in the Cats and Bolts podcast? And Peter Worrell, you were at the top of the list, my man. They haven't forgot about you. 391 NHL games. I'm just going to throw that out. You all know that, but with the Florida Panthers and Colorado Avalanche and played in the QMJHL with Hull. They still love you, man. You know that. Must feel good.
It does. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Very much so.
Good to have you back. We're going to fire questions at Peter for the next, half hour or so. It's funny because the Panthers are playing tonight, and I asked him if he's gone, and you said it's hard for you to do.
Yeah, at the moment it's been hard. Like I coach a U18 hockey team, so we have later practices. It's usually been the same nights of games so far this year, or when they play on the weekend where we have games or tournaments myself. So I haven't been able to get there yet, but I will definitely be there as much as I can.
I'm going to turn Sarina loose on you in a second, but the one thing that's just burning in my mind is if I said you're similar to Bill Lindsay this way in being alumni that gets a ring. He has no problem with being referred to as a Stanley Cup champion. Not at all. How about you?
Absolutely not. Not even
Good.
one moment of pause. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
How's it feel?
It feels great. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was the boys that put the blood, sweat, and tears in. But I'll be happy to reap the rewards for sure.
Love it.
I'll give you $5 if you can list one other thing you have in common with Bill Lindsay. Just for fun.
We like to ride bikes.
Do you have 2 cats?
I do not have 2 cats. No. Other than that, we were both on the team in the 90s.
Isn't Billy just a fantastic human being?
Oh no, yeah, no, he's been great. I mean, ever since the moment I got here, he took me under his wing for a long time. Him and Rob Niedermeyer. They were a couple years older than me, but they were still in that same group. And Bill's been a fantastic guy, and it's so wonderful to see all the things that he's been doing. Just seeing his Stanley Cup call. I was so happy for him, so proud for him. I know how much he's sacrificed for this organization through the highs and the lows, and it's certainly something that's very rewarding. Yeah.
Before we carry on a little bit, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that Bill's father recently passed away. And he was 92. Was he 92?
No, he was 93.
And the one thing, obviously wearing this shirt, it's very difficult for me to get over. But the one thing that gave me a little bit of peace was knowing that was all Bill wanted it for. Yeah. And Vinny Viola was such a great human being that he called Bill and said, the Stanley Cup is yours because of your dad. We will take it wherever he needs to be. Yeah. We will take it wherever. And I was just so heartbroken when I heard that his father passed. We would sit with him at the games. And if there's one person that it just made me so happy, it was for Junie. So we'll miss you, Junie, so much.
No, he was a great man. I mean, I've met him many times over the years, and he's always just a true gentleman. I think the flip side of that story too is just shows you what kind of ownership we have too. Mr. Viola has been fantastic for this organization, and after putting all the investment that he put into it, and to finally have his moment for him to be thinking about things of that nature. Shows you what kind of human being he is and what kind of leadership we have from the top down.
I couldn't agree more. And it shows you what kind of person Bill is.
Yeah.
Because it reflects. So anyway, happy times now.
Yeah, well said. And let me say this. For the alumni, you today, Peter, are going to speak on their behalf in terms of laying the groundwork for what went on here last spring.
Okay.
Right? You know what I mean? When you say you're proud to be a Stanley Cup champion as alum and you work for the team as a hockey director, talk about the pride of building this. Because I'll be honest with you, she says this, and I've said it on the show a few times. People say to me, you weren't here in the bad times. I'm like, I can't do anything about that. But it was pretty bad. from what I understand.
There were some lean years, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was tough. Certainly, through the play, through the organization, there was a lot of stuff that weren't necessarily ideal. But we persevered, and we kept fighting. We kept the guys kept playing. We kept putting a product out there, and we were fortunate enough, I guess, for Mr. Viola and Mr. Seaver to buy the team. And then, progressing to Mr. Zito being named as a GM and kind of just changing everything. We're now in a position where we can look back at all those bad times and kind of laugh at them, and just, be excited about what the moment that we're in right now. So as an alumnus, as an alumnus that stayed here, it's we're in our glory days right now, and we're excited about it. But yeah, it doesn't mean that we forget about the tough times. But whether I'm talking to Radek Dvorak or Eddie Jovanowski or the many other guys that live in the area, we're just so super excited to be able to walk down the street and just say that we're Stanley Cup champions.
Good.
For a lot of us, we never got to do that as players. So.
Yeah, I think that you truly appreciate it a lot more when you go through the crap. It's one thing being a fan, right? But being a player and watching it happen and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of almost redemption. It's just so much sweeter, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, it I don't want to overstate it, but it kind of validates your career, right? Like, it might not have happened, during my time. But like you said, you kind of put the groundwork down for everybody else, and whether it's good or bad, they figured out a way to change that organization, change the culture, and it's a wonderful culture right now. It's guys that really get together. They really love each other. They really bond and fight for each other, and they go out there and just play great hockey with each other. So it's like I said, it's a great time to be a Panther, and proud to wear that on my sleeve every day.
Funny, actually, because it was, I think, January that you were in here last. A lot happens. And that 10 months, we were talking about, hey, pick up a stick and play. Since the Panthers have won a Stanley Cup, what has that done for the youth with the people that you work with?
Yeah, no, it's certainly been helpful. I know, we just opened our new facility in Fort Lauderdale, the War Memorial, the Baptist Iceplex, and certainly the fact that we were able to win that cup has certainly helped build that facility. We really wanted to do something different. We didn't want to just build a rink and then try to, grab kids from other buildings and try to bring them to ours. We wanted to start from the very beginning organically. So like we're doing a lot of community hockey stuff. So I mean, the fact that the Panthers won has been phenomenal. The fact that they practice there every day and people get to, be around them and see them every day has been extremely helpful in that regard. Yeah, I mean, everything that they've done has been lifting up everything in our organization, and again, we're extremely proud of all these good gentlemen right here and what they've done for our area and our community, and the boom that it's really going to have. Maybe it doesn't show up now, but I think it will really show in about 15 years. Those kids that were born now or in the last couple of years who got to watch it as 3, 4, 5 years olds, who are going to be inspired to be the next Ekblad, to be the next Barkov, to be the next Kachuk, Reinhardt, or up and down the list of those guys. And just kind of like how in the Tampa Bay area, the hockey's picked up now from the Vinny Lecavalier Stanley Cup from all those years. We're hoping to have that same effect here in South Florida.
I think it's so interesting that you bring up Tampa because last year we went to a Panthers game in Tampa and was fortunate enough to meet Phil Esposito. But just to hear his passion about growing the game.
Yeah.
He was just so happy about the rink. And of course, he's got a story for everything.
No. No, not at all.
But it was it was so cool to hear him talk about like, this is how the rink was and this is what we did and this is whatever. And he doesn't care where it is.
Yeah.
He obviously, he's a Canadian, but he's a Boston guy. He's a Bruin, right? But he just loved growing the game. And you can see that in yourself. And that's so cool.
I think that's just something I think that's ingrained in hockey, right? Like once you're done with it, especially once you've gone far in the game, you just want to give back to it, right? Like it changed my life. It brought me things that I could never have dreamed of, and to be able to have a young person be able to have those same type of experiences is something that drives me every day. But the same token, just to see helping kids just in general to be their best selves is something that I'm extremely proud of, right? Like for every kid I've coached who's gone on to play pro hockey or college hockey or something of the higher nature, that's fantastic. But for every one of them, there's about 20 others that, didn't, right? But they've turned into great young men and women who are great contributors to society that are all on the right path. And, to know that you had a little bit of a hand in that is what the goal is, right? Like I don't know what kind of language I could use here, but we try not to raise shitheads. We're trying to raise good people here, and that's the goal every day.
Here's the thing. You're good. You should have seen what she said last show. But it reminds me of Vegas a little bit. Friends with all those guys, Kelly McCrimmon, Bobby Lowe's. You played against them against Brandon in the Memmer. What they got going with the Golden Knights, they fill that practice rink every practice when it's open. And to be honest, at my advanced age, I kind of wish I could go back to those days. What I mean by that is you said the kids watching the Panthers now. I grew up an Oilers fan.
Yeah.
Going to West Ed, 84, the mall just opened, and the Oilers were practicing in the mall. I stood there.
Yeah.
Gretzky, Coffey, Messier, Fuhr, you name it. What was yours in Montreal that you first saw the Habs?
Every memory I have is a Saturday night with my dad just watching the game, right? And as I got older, I just remember him we'd watch a game and be like, Pete, why can't you do what Peter Sabota do? I'm like 8, man. Like calm down, So I mean, growing up in Montreal, like that was everything, right? Like I had every one of those guys' posters on my wall, and got to see 2 Stanley Cups as a kid growing up, and one lost to Calgary, which still
89,
chaps
in
me.
your barn,
in my barn. Yeah,
still right.
Chaps
You
me.
feel.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel you, boo.
100%. Yeah, no, it sucks.
You don't get over that.
Yeah. So it was just growing up in Montreal, and knowing the history of the Canadians. Obviously I only saw the latter stages of it, but going back and the five cups in a row, the 4 cups in a row, the Rocket Richards, the Jean Beliveau's, the Toe Blakes, like everybody that's played for the Habs. I mean, it's a history museum every time you turn on that TV, right? But like I told you, I think last time here, then they didn't draft me and I cut that cord. So
serious. But was there a practice when you were a kid or something that you saw them live?
No, I mean, we every once in a while we got to watch them in the Verdun Arena, watch them, their practices over there, and they were just part of your community, right? So like, I remember going to a grocery store and seeing Dick Irvin, grocery shopping, and
he was the broadcaster.
He was the Hall of Fame broadcaster and voice of hockey for years, and seeing Guy Carbonneau just kind of hanging out all around town, and then I think I was 8 years old when we got to play our first game in the Forum, and as a bunch of little kids, and I think it was the only time I've been in the Forum actually, but it was a dream come true. So I mean, every kid in Montreal during that time wanted to be a Montreal Canadian. It just was, right. I know other than PJ Stock, he wanted to be a Bruin. Right?
He is a Bruin, though.
I mean, that's
PJ's a Bruin.
But I mean, that's
Realized it.
I mean, PJ. He's got issues. He's always had issues. So I mean, that's why he got tough. He had to get punched in the head a couple times as a kid.
You're like me. You romanticize the game, and people will say to me all the time, they're like, "You weren't even alive when." I'm like, I didn't need to be.
Yeah.
Like I know how each player played just because we just were so absorbed in it. And I've watched the 72 Summit series. I wasn't even born yet. You weren't born yet.
Yeah.
Rod was not even born yet. Not even Rod was born yet. But I was
waiting for the last part.
3 months after it, I was, but
my dad, this is fantastic. My dad asked Rod one year, a few years ago, he's like, "What year were you born?" Rod's like 72. And walked away, and I was waiting. All of a sudden, my dad looked at me and goes, "Sarina." I go, "I know exactly."
Summit baby. He called me a Summit baby.
It's so important to us as Canadians that I just know that stuff. I've watched every one of those games a million times.
Yeah.
But hockey's romantic to me.
Yeah. No, but I think as Canadians, it's our game, right? It's our identity, right? So I know, or at least it has been. I know it's changed a little bit now. With some other sports, but growing up in our time, I mean, what else did we have? Like it was hockey and a couple baseball teams, and obviously the CFL. But everybody I knew played hockey at some point. Whether it was for a year or 20. So everybody really felt the sport,
and therefore we know the game, or feel we know the game.
100%. Yeah.
You mentioned playing in the Forum that you only did once. As a child, as a home team, but what about going in there as a visitor? You had to have.
No,
Was it closed by then?
It was closed. Yeah, it closed. I want to say my first year junior. I believe so. Yeah, because I think Jose Theodore was able to get a couple of games in there before he got called up at one point that year, and got to play that last year in the Forum. But I remember, I think it was like Jocelyn Thibault and like that type of team that was on that group. But no, for me, it was always the Bell or Molson Center or whatever they call it now. Was the rink that I got to play in. Same thing, like I missed Maple Leaf Garden by a year. I missed the Garden by a year, Boston Garden by a year.
Oh, well,
yeah. I mean, I'm more than happy to play in the rinks I played in. But,
exactly.
But actually, the only rink that I was really probably disappointed that I never got to play in was the old Buffalo Odd. Like just watching those old games and a little bump and the boards were just look like they're bending over. Just looks so cool as a kid. And I always wanted to just run somebody through the board and see how far I can go into the stands. But yeah, that was I missed out on a few of those rinks. But the same token, I got to be there to open pretty much almost every rink that's in the league now, other than Jersey or the new teams in the league. So we opened up the building in Minnesota. We opened up the building in Columbus. A couple other ones over the years during the Bure years. Nashville, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's half of it sucked, but the other half it was a pretty good experience.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you talk about Peter Svoboda. And by the way, I loved your accent of your father. That was fantastic. Nail was not expecting that. But who was your favorite player growing up?
So yeah, this one's gonna hurt. So my favorite player, and that's why I wore 8 was Cam Neely, actually, the Boston Bruin player.
Interesting. Okay.
Everybody in my neighborhood, I think we were all trying to fight for that number every year, and that's kind of the guy that I'd hope to emulate and try to turn into. A guy that came in the league as threw a lot of fists and then ended up being one of the best goal scorers of his generation, power forward. The blueprint for a power forward. But with that being said, as Canadians, Mats Naslund growing up I was a big fan of him. Larry Robinson, which was really cool because I remember we played Jersey in the playoffs the one year he was coaching, and he pulled me aside and told me, you know, how well he thought I played. I was like, holy shit. So I mean,
Big Bird.
Big Bird. Another one of my favorite players growing up was, you know, I loved the Carbonos. I loved those guys, but really loved Kirk Muller. Like he was, you know, I was a big fan of his. And then when I came to Florida, he was my centerman my rookie year. So that was super cool. It probably sucked for him because it probably showed it was the end of his career. But for me, it was I was a kid in a candy shop, right? The one thing I remember my rookie year, we were riding a bike after the game, and you know, Kirk's sitting right beside me on the bike, and was just like, "Oh, I just hate all you young guys." I'm like, what did I do? I mean, I think I just saved your butt today. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, you know, when I broke in the league, you know, we'd have practice. As soon as practice was over, you know, we'd go to the bar, have a couple drinks, have lunch, and you know, rinse and repeat, do it the next day. Now I got to ride bikes, I got to work out. Like, hate all you young guys. I'm like, I wish I was in your time. I mean,
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. I would have fit in better then, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the wild thing is you were a feared fighter. You were.
okay.
I thought so. I think anybody who fought you would agree. And you didn't look up to like I was kind of expecting the Knuckles Nylons or these kinds of guys.
I certainly look. I love Nyland. I love Kordic, guys of that nature. But honestly, like when I was growing up as a kid,
You were a scorer.
I was a goal scorer, right? So like those were the guys I kind of gravitated a little bit more to. I mean, trust me, I had me and my friends. We probably watch every Don Cherry video over the years, or any bootleg fight tapes that we could watch. Like, trust me, that was part of the mix. But yeah, no, I mean, I loved watching the goal scorers. I loved watching, you know, Stevie Eisenman when he was young and before they put the governor on him to play a little bit defense. When he was just getting 100 points, 190 points every year, like just up and down. You know, those were the guys that they were fun to watch, right? And you know, conversely, I'm looking at it now, like it's kind of why I kind of like how the game is played right now, where it's, you know, guys who are just going up and down the ice, scoring a lot of goals, and having a little bit more flair. You know, I think it's been good for hockey, and you know, I think it's good that we're getting back to, you know, a little bit of that '80s type of hockey. You know, firehouse hockey, just. Let's run and gun. Let's have some fun with it.
Minus the goonery.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I was your coach, if you were on my team, I'd be playing you just like Cam Neely. Because just go in front of the net, right? And I feel like what you said really resonated with me. Like, I played in the wrong time. If you played at the same time as Cam Neely, I think you would have been a different player because it was a different game then.
Maybe. I mean, again, yeah. I mean, I would hope so, but I mean, you never know. They might have decided like now we have an unstoppable force. Go beat up everybody. Let's see how it goes, right?
Yeah, you'd have been
again,
bigger.
it's not just about how you play. It's about the mentality of management and of your coaching staff and how they look at the game. I think you know, the older school coaches were, you know, we're gonna dump it in every single time. We're gonna just dump and chase and just bang and bang and bang, which is fine. I love that. Like it was fun to watch. But you know, I think now there's just a little bit different mentality about how the game's played, and you know, I think that if I grew up in this time with the way that the game is played, and I think my game would have had to change, certainly. But I think I would have enjoyed it just as much, right? It would have been more like my junior years. Yeah.
Nerding out here because we're running out of time. Hockey question only. So apologies, but I just look at Connor Bedard. I just saw him play in Vancouver. His hometown return a couple of weeks ago. Oy vey.
He's pretty talented.
Oh, yeah, in one end.
Yeah.
But in the other, I'm with you. I was like, he was like on double runners. He had no clue what was going on. Don't stop it. Because I've never said this. What? She can't believe I'm saying anything cross about Bedard?
I can't believe...
Anybody named Connor, I think you're not allowed to say anything poorly about anybody named Connor that plays in the NHL.
In our house.
for the record, last year in Bedard's rookie season when Chicago was here, I was like, oh my God, this is bad. And Billy came out and he's like, woo, it's a train wreck. Where I was like, oh, no. I'm like, okay.
I didn't say it wasn't bad. Before you interrupted, I would have liked to have asked him, should he have to, I'm teasing you guys. Huh?
It was my face because you knew where I was going because I was like,
should he have to learn defense?
Yeah, again, it's just this different time, right? Like, I guess the question you have to ask yourself, okay, so maybe he's not as dominant defensively as they were in the 2000s, but he's also putting in 2 points a game every game. So like, he might not shut you down, but he's 18 too, right? So there's a lot of it. Like, he's playing against grown men. It's a little bit harder to play defensively against grown men than you are when playing against 18-year-old, 16-year-old kids in junior, right? So it does take time. And again, I would imagine in most of his youth hockey, most of his junior hockey, they just cared about his offense, right? Like, hey, get us 4 or 5 points a game. Who cares how many goals go against us? We could stop 3. So it's just, again, it's a different mentality that's been taught to a lot of these players today. There's a lot of things that I watch, and yeah, it can be get some Pepto or something, but again, like, it's just, for any lacking that they have in defense, the offense and the skills that they bring today are just so far ahead of what we used to.
The coaches are there to win, not develop him. They're there to win. They're there to win. They're there to win. They don't, right? And I'm just sitting there going, he's not learning it, so let's just let him score. Yeah. But Chicago's so bad that they need to try to defend a little bit. Yeah. That's all.
But again, I would make the argument, again, when you go into hockey history, and I mentioned him before, Stevie Yzerman, when he started in Detroit, when he was putting up 180 points, 160 points, he wasn't playing any defense. They weren't winning.
They weren't winning it.
Right? They weren't a very good team, but he put a whole lot of points up. Once that team got better and they brought in Scotty, and Scotty was like, whoa. I want 80 points, but you're going to play better in our defensive zone. That's when they became, the Detroit Red Wings of the 90s and early 2000s. And that's when Stevie went from being a really good player to being, a legendary champion, legendary leader, guy that would do anything, But like, if you just watch the 19-year-old Stevie, I don't think is much difference than what you're watching with an 18-year-old, 19-year-old Connor, right? That'll come. It'll come. Again, McDavid was an alien. His defensive game has gotten much better over the years. When he came in as an 18-year-old, it was okay. But he just barrel race you down the ice.
He's faster than everybody.
And embarrass you. Like, so you forget what he was doing in the defensive zone. Like, because whatever he did, whenever he touched the puck, you couldn't even think about when he didn't have the puck.
But to this day, he comes back just as hard.
He does.
Right? So
he does. He does. But again, that is something that he learned, that you can't just be offensive. You have to play that defensive end if you want to go from being an okay team, above average team, to being a team that's going to compete for Stanley Cups and win Stanley Cups. And once that switch flips on guys, that's when, again, they can go through the stratosphere for sure.
I love what you said about the junior hockey thing. Because if you look at Mario Lemieux, what did he get, like 230 points one season or something in playing in the Quebec Major Junior League?
Yeah, and he had a bad year.
Yeah. It's like, but again, look at how much time it took Pittsburgh to develop.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. Mario's a big kid. Connor McDavid's a fast kid.
Best player I've ever seen in my life.
Is that right?
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, that's the difference. Connor Bedard's a finesse player. He's not a fast player. He's not a big player. You're right, they come into their own. Stevie Yzerman was a runt. Wayne was a runt.
Yep.
I don't want to run, but they weren't that big. They didn't carry a lot of muscle. I probably weigh more than Wayne did when he entered the NHL.
I'm not going to go down that route.
Appreciate that.
I've learned.
Highly intelligent guy. Book smarts and street smarts. Well, listen, We'll let you get out of here, but I hope people enjoyed this hockey instructional video here today with Peter Worrell. A history lesson, right, of the game. You and I doing what we do. This was the perfect show.
Yeah, it was so good. Final thoughts. Just share anything with us that you want the viewers to know, or you want us to know about you, or what.
Nothing really about me. Just I'm just going about my business. I'm coaching with the Junior Panthers program. Got a good group of boys right this year, and working hard and accomplishing some fun stuff. I'm now I do a lot more brand ambassador type stuff for the organization. So I work with a YMCA in Fort Lauderdale where underprivileged kids are able to start. We're started them with ball hockey and street hockey. We're now converting them to get them on the ice and starting that process. Doing stuff with adaptive hockey, adaptive skating. Usually Friday nights over in Fort Lauderdale where we have kids and adults who have all different types of best word, but different obstacles, right? Whether it's physical, cognitives, and we have them out on the ice skating, playing hockey. It started with a young man, Ben Cobbs.
He said we were going to shout out his name on the show. There you go, Ben, and it was Peter that did it.
Benny watches us all the time.
Yeah.
Ben's a great kid, and he was so instrumental in us getting that program back. We just named him the captain of the program, and he's been fantastic. He's out there, not only him trying to get there and skating, but he's out there helping other kids and other people. He's really inspiring for all of us. And I know for everybody that gets on the ice with them, it's literally the best hour of our week. So that's something that we're really proud of, and we just want to keep building and make bigger.
Special hockey, he calls it. His special hockey.
He calls it special. We've gone to the word adaptive.
Okay.
So we're being a little bit politically correct. So.
Benny, you're a trailblazer.
He absolutely
Got
is.
it. Well, I can see why the Panthers have you doing what you do. Peter, it's always so much fun seeing you, man. Happy holidays.
Absolutely.
Good seeing you. And you too. And we'll see you all next week here on Cats and Bolts. That was
That's awesome.
Never even thought about it until you